Real Vision by Christopher Lewis Cox. Chapter 1. The Devil in Your Pocket. Every morning you reach for it before your feet hit the floor. Every night you fall asleep with it in your hand. You've carried it with you to the bathroom, to the dinner table, to bed. It's the first thing you check when you wake up, and the last thing you check before you sleep. I'm talking about your phone. And if you're like most people, you've never really thought about what it's doing to you. Here's a number that should stop you in your tracks. The average adult spends nearly 7 hours a day looking at a screen. Not working, not making something, just looking, scrolling, tapping, waiting for the next notification to drop. That's 2,000 hours a year, 86 full days, nearly 3 months of your life, every year, spent staring at a glowing rectangle. And that's just the average. If you're under 25, you're probably closer to 6.5 hours. If you're a teenager, there's a 50-50 chance you're hitting 4 hours or more before you've even finished your homework. This isn't a judgment. This is math. The device you never chose. Here's the thing about your phone. You never actually chose it. You got a smartphone because that's what was available. You downloaded the apps because everyone else had them. You opened social media accounts because that's where people were. You never sat down and said, you know what? I want to spend 86 days a year on this. It just happened. The phone companies didn't trick you. They didn't need to. They built something so easy to use, so habit-forming, that the choice happened on autopilot. Every time you reach for your phone without thinking, that's not a decision. That's a program running in the background. Think about how many times you've checked your phone today. 20 times? 30? The research shows the average person touches their phone 58 times a day. 58. And that's just the touches, not the minutes spent looking. Half of you check your phone while eating dinner. Half. Let that sink in. Half of people cannot make it through a single meal without looking at their phone. And here's the one that gets me. 96% of Americans check their phone within the first 4 minutes of waking up, not 4 minutes after they get up, not after they've brushed their teeth. 4 minutes of being awake. The very first thing most people do, before coffee, before saying good morning to their partner, before anything, is reach for the phone. What does that set up for your day? Every morning you're training your brain to seek external validation before you've even had a chance to form your own thoughts. The invisible cost. Now here's where it gets interesting. The 7 hours isn't the real cost. The real cost is what those 7 hours could be doing instead. Because here's the thing about time. You can't get it back. There's no version of next year where you suddenly have an extra 86 days. That's not how it works. But here's the other thing. Most of those 7 hours aren't even fun. They're not spent connecting with people you love. They're not spent building something that matters to you. They're spent scrolling through content you won't remember, looking at photos you'll forget, reading arguments that won't change your life. The average person can't tell you what they learned from their last 30 minutes of scrolling. They can't name a single thing that improved their life from the last hour they spent on Instagram. The time just goes. And in exchange, you get a vague sense of having seen something, followed some drama, caught up on some trend that will be irrelevant in a week. That's not living. That's being fed. The program running in the background. Your phone is a program, not a bad program necessarily, but a program nonetheless. It's designed to keep you looking. Every red notification dot, every autoplay video, every infinite scroll is engineered to keep your attention. The people who built these things have PhDs in making things addictive, and they won. You don't have to feel guilty about this. You're not weak for getting sucked in. You're human. This is literally designed to override your willpower. The question isn't, why can't I stop? The question is, what am I choosing instead? That's what this book is about. Not giving up your phone, Not going off-grid, not becoming one of those people who talks about digital detox like it's a religion. Just choosing consciously what you feed your brain. Because here's what's happening when you scroll. You're letting someone else decide what you think about. You're letting an algorithm show you what it wants you to see. You're letting a feed designed to keep you clicking decide what your reality looks like. Every scroll is a choice. You just haven't been making it consciously. The switch. Here's the good news. If you can be programmed, you can be reprogrammed. Your brain doesn't know the difference between scrolling through social media and deliberately visualizing the life you want. Both are mental exercises. Both shape your reality. Both use the same machinery. The question is just, which one are you using? This book is about making that choice consciously. It's about taking back the 86 days and turning them into something that actually builds the life you want. It's about using the same device that's been distracting you, the same pocket computer, the same powerful tool, and pointing it in a different direction. Not more willpower, not more discipline, just a different program. That's what we're going to build together, and by the end of this book, I'm going to hand you a tool that makes flipping that switch almost effortless. Hold that thought. But first, let's be honest about what's happening. Let's look at how the algorithm really works. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's where the real change starts. Chapter 2. Every scroll is a choice. Here's a secret that will change how you see your phone. You're always choosing. Every single time you scroll, every time you tap, every time you open Instagram or TikTok or X or whatever your poison is, that's a choice. You're choosing to look. You're choosing to engage. You're choosing to give your attention to something. The problem is, you've never noticed you're making the choice. It feels automatic. It feels like something happening to you rather than something you're doing. And that's by design. The myth of automatic. Here's something wild. New research shows that nearly 2/3 of your daily behaviors are triggered by habit, not conscious decision-making. You're not actually choosing most of what you do. Your brain has offloaded the decision to your subconscious, and it's running on autopilot. Think about how you drive to work. You don't consciously decide to turn left on Main Street. You don't deliberate about when to brake. You just drive. Your body handles it while your mind thinks about something else. That's incredibly efficient. Your brain is always looking for ways to save energy, to automate repetitive tasks so it can focus on new problems. But here's the problem. Your phone is treating your scrolling like driving to work. It's become automatic. And you never noticed it happen. The first time you opened TikTok, you made a choice. You decided to download it, to create an account, to start scrolling. But the 100th time? The 1,000th time? That's not a choice anymore. That's just what your fingers do when they're bored. The cue, routine, reward loop. Every habit follows a pattern. There's a cue. Something triggers the behavior. A routine, the behavior itself. And a reward, the payoff that keeps you coming back. Your phone's habit loop looks like this. The cue. You're standing in line. You're waiting for your coffee. You're sitting on the toilet. You're in any moment of dead time, any gap in your day. The routine. You reach for your phone. You open the app. You start scrolling. The reward. A hit of dopamine. A funny video. A like on your post. Someone commented on your photo. A news story that makes you angry. The feed shows you something that triggers an emotional response, and your brain gets a little hit of chemicals. That's it. That's the whole system. And it's so elegant, so seamless that you don't even realize it's happening. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of your phone use isn't actually enjoyable. It's not connecting you with people you love. It's not making you smarter or more creative or more fulfilled. It's just filling the gap, numbing the moment, giving your brain something easy to do instead of making it work. You could be using that waiting time to think, to plan your day, to visualize your goals, to have an actual conversation with the person next to you, but instead, you reach for your phone because that's what you've trained yourself to do. The choice you didn't make. Here's the thing about habits. They start with a decision. But once the habit is formed, the decision goes away. You stopped choosing a long time ago. You just do it. The first time you checked your phone in the middle of a conversation, maybe you felt a little guilty. You thought, "This is rude. I should put this away." But you did it anyway. And the second time, the guilt was less. And the 10th time, there was no guilt at all. Now you check your phone during conversations without even noticing. That's how habits work. They start as conscious choices and become unconscious programs. But here's what's powerful. Awareness breaks the loop. The moment you notice you're choosing, you become the chooser again. You become the person in control, not the program. Next time you reach for your phone, just notice. Don't judge. Don't try to stop yourself. Just observe. I'm reaching for my phone. I'm choosing to look at this. That's interesting. That tiny moment of awareness is the beginning of taking back control. The alternative choice. Now here's what this book is really about. Not just noticing when you're choosing, but choosing differently. Every moment you reach for your phone, you could reach for something else. You could reach for a pen and paper and write down an idea. You could reach for a book. You could reach for your own thoughts and spend 2 minutes just thinking, letting your mind wander, letting it wander toward the things that actually matter to you. This is the foundation of everything that follows. Not giving up your phone, not becoming a monk, just noticing the choice, and then, when it matters, making a different one. Because here's what's true. You can't eliminate the habit. You can't undo years of conditioning, but you can add a new option to the menu. You can choose, in that moment, to do something different with that same 2 minutes. That's the switch. That's what the rest of this book is about. But first, let's talk about what's happening on the other end of that phone. Who's doing the programming? That's Chapter 3. Chapter 3. The Algorithmic Hijack. Here's a question that will blow your mind. Who's choosing what you see? When you open Instagram, when you scroll through TikTok, when you check Twitter, you think you're looking at content. You're looking at posts people made. You're seeing what your friends are doing, what strangers are saying, what's happening in the world. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is an algorithm is choosing what you see. Every post you see has been filtered through a piece of software designed to keep you looking. Not to inform you, not to connect you, just to keep you clicking. What the algorithm actually wants. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Social media algorithms don't care about you. They care about engagement. And engagement, it turns out, is easier to get through anger and outrage than through joy and connection. Think about the last time a post made you really angry. Maybe it was political. Maybe it was about some injustice. Maybe it was someone being stupid online. You felt that heat in your chest, that urge to comment, to share, to argue, and you did. Now think about the last post that made you feel peaceful, calm, happy for someone else. How did you respond? Probably just a quick like, maybe. And you scrolled on. That's because anger is more engaging than happiness. Outrage keeps you clicking. Arguments generate comments, and comments keep you on the platform. The algorithm knows this. It optimizes for engagement, and engagement is just time on platform, clicks, comments, shares. It doesn't measure your well-being. It doesn't measure your mental health. It doesn't care if you're angry as long as you're looking. So what you see isn't what's popular or important or true. It's what keeps you mad. The feed that shapes your reality. Now here's where it gets really interesting. You're not just watching content. You're being fed a specific version of reality. If you engage with content about immigration, the algorithm shows you more immigration content. You start to think that's the most important issue in the world. You start to think everyone's angry about it. You start to think it's the only conversation anyone is having. If you engage with content about climate change becomes your entire reality. Every post is about the apocalypse. Every story is doom. You can't imagine a future that's not catastrophic. If you engage with fitness content, suddenly that's all you see. Your feed becomes a highlight reel of perfect bodies, and you feel inadequate. If you engage with relationship drama, your feed becomes a soap opera, and you start seeing your own relationships through that lens. The algorithm doesn't know you. It doesn't care about your growth or your happiness. It just knows what keeps you clicking. And here's the thing. You're being shaped by what you see. Every piece of content that crosses your screen is making tiny edits to your worldview. You're not seeing a representative sample of humanity. You're seeing whatever generates the most engagement, and that's almost always the extreme. The research behind it. This isn't speculation, there's real science on this. A study published in the National Institutes of Health found that social media algorithms can contribute to increasing depression, anxiety, loneliness, and body dissatisfaction. Another study found that algorithm-curated feeds lead to social comparison and reduced self-worth, particularly for vulnerable individuals. The research is clear. What you see shapes how you feel. And the algorithm is designed to show you what keeps you feeling something, which usually means showing you the worst, the most extreme, the most anger-inducing content. You think you're browsing the internet, but really, you're being fed a diet that's designed to keep you hungry for more. Seeing the machine. Here's the good news. Once you see the machine, you can't unsee it. Next time you're scrolling and you feel that spike of anger, that rush of outrage, that need to comment, just notice. Ask yourself, would I feel this way if the algorithm hadn't shown me this? Is this actually important, or is it just engagement bait? This doesn't mean you should never be angry about anything. It just means be conscious. Choose what you let in. Don't let an algorithm designed to exploit your attention decide what you think about. Because here's the truth. You are what you consume. Your feed is building your reality, one scroll at a time. The question is just, whose reality do you want? The alternative. Now here's where we pivot. The algorithm is a tool. It can be used for good or ill. Right now, it's being used to keep you angry and scrolling, but it could point somewhere else. What if instead of letting an algorithm show you what keeps you mad, you deliberately chose what to feed your brain? What if instead of scrolling through content designed to exploit your attention, you deliberately visualize the life you want? And what if you didn't have to do it with your eyes shut, straining to hold the picture? What if you could actually watch it? Keep that in mind. We'll get there. That's what this book is about. Taking back the programming. Using the same device, the same technology, the same time, and pointing it in a different direction. That's the switch. That's the alternative. And that's what we're going to build together. But first, we need to understand what's actually happening in your brain when you consume this content. That's Chapter 4. Chapter 4. What you feed your brain. Your brain is constantly building a model of reality. It's taking every input, every image, every story, every conversation, every scroll, and weaving it into a picture of how the world works, how you work, what's possible. The problem is, your brain can't tell the difference between something you experienced and something you saw on a screen. Neurologically, it's all the same. Your brain responds to a video of someone falling off a mountain as if you were there. It releases stress hormones. It remembers the fear. This is why what you feed your brain matters, not in some woo-woo law of attraction way, in a concrete neurochemical way. Your brain is being shaped by everything you consume. The input-output machine. Here's how it works. Your brain has something called predictive coding. It's constantly making predictions about what's going to happen next, and then comparing those predictions to what actually happens. When the prediction matches reality, your brain goes, "Yep, got it right," and reinforces the neural pathway that made that prediction. When it doesn't match, your brain updates its model. Every piece of content you consume is making predictions. Every scroll is updating your model. If you scroll through doom and gloom, news about disasters, scandals, tragedies, the world ending, your brain is building a model of a dangerous world. A world where things go wrong. A world where the odds are stacked against you. If you scroll through inspiration, stories of people overcoming, winning, creating, your brain builds a model of a world where good things happen, where people succeed, where the odds are in your favor. Neither model is more true than the other. They're both partial views of reality. But one of them is going to make you happier, healthier, more likely to take action. And it's not the doom model. The media diet. Think about your media consumption like a food diet. You would never eat junk food for every meal and expect to feel great. You would never fuel your body with processed garbage and expect to perform at your best. But that's exactly what most people do with their media. They fuel their brains with content that spikes stress hormones, fuels anxiety, and leaves them feeling helpless. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted, unmotivated, and hopeless. The fix isn't cutting out all news. It's the same as food. Mostly good, some occasional indulgence. A media diet that tilts toward content that builds you up rather than tears you down. This doesn't mean sticking your head in the sand. It means be conscious. Choose what you consume. Don't let an algorithm decide your diet. The visualization link. Here's where it gets interesting. What you consume is either competing with or supporting your visualizations. If you spend your scrolling time consuming content about other people's success, that's competition. Every time you see someone else's highlight reel, you're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. That's not a fair fight, and your brain knows it. But if you spend that time visualizing your own success, genuinely imagining your life the way you want it, you're building the same neural pathways. You're doing the same work as the people you admire, just on the inside. The difference is, one is passive, one is active. One is consuming someone else's story, one is writing your own. That's what this book is about. Taking back the time and using it to write your story instead of someone else's. The question is, what have you been feeding your brain? And what do you want to start? Chapter 5. The Role of Media in Self-Image. There's a reason social media makes you feel inadequate. It's not you. It's the design. Social media is built on social comparison. Every post is a comparison. Their life versus your life. Their body versus your body. Their success versus your success. And the thing about comparison is, it's always asymmetric. You see your behind the scenes in everyone else's highlight reel. But here's what happens in your brain. You start to believe the highlight reel is real. You start to believe everyone else has it figured out. You start to believe you're behind. This is how media shapes your self-image. Not by telling you something, but by showing you something over and over until you believe it's true. The comparison trap. Social comparison is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. We're wired to compare ourselves to others. It helped our ancestors figure out where they stood in the tribe. But social media has broken the mechanism. In the old world, you compared yourself to people in your village, people at your level, people you might actually catch up to. Now you compare yourself to the most successful, most attractive, most accomplished people in the world. Everyone, all the time, from every country. There's no way to win that comparison. It's not designed to be won. It's designed to keep you scrolling. The feed becomes your mirror. Here's the thing, your social media feed becomes a mirror, not of reality, but of what you think is normal, what you think is possible, what you think you're capable of. If your feed is full of people winning, you start to believe winning is normal, possible, expected. If your feed is full of drama, you start to believe the world is drama, that conflict is normal, that people can't get along. If your feed is full of negativity, you start to believe the world is negative, that nothing good happens. Your feed isn't showing you reality. It's showing you a curated version designed to keep you engaged, and your brain is absorbing it as truth. The self-fulfilling prophecy. Here's where it gets dangerous. What you believe about yourself becomes self-fulfilling. If you believe you're not capable, you won't try. If you won't try, you won't succeed. If you don't succeed, you confirm the belief. If you believe the world is unsafe, you avoid opportunities. If you avoid opportunities, nothing changes. You confirm the belief. Your media consumption is building those beliefs. Every scroll is a vote for what you believe is possible. The good news: you can change the vote. You can change the feed. You can change what you're absorbing. But first, you have to see it. You have to notice what your feed is telling you about yourself and the world. That's the first step. The next step is doing something about it. That's what the rest of this book is about. Chapter 6. Why doom scrolling feels good. Here's a confession. Doom scrolling feels good. Not all the time, but sometimes. Sometimes there's nothing more satisfying than going deep into a news spiral, reading every piece of bad news you can find. And I need you to understand why before we can fix it. It's not that you're broken. It's not that you're pessimistic. It's not even that you enjoy suffering. It's that doom scrolling hits several psychological buttons at once, and it feels like it's giving you something you need. The curiosity button. First, curiosity. Your brain is wired to seek novel information. It's a survival mechanism. Knowing about threats helps you avoid them. So when you see something alarming, your brain goes, "That's important, I need to know more." The news knows this. They lead with the most alarming thing. They save the resolution for last, if at all. They're optimizing for your attention, not your well-being. The control button. Second, control. When the world feels chaotic, gathering information feels like doing something. It feels like taking action. Even if the action is useless, you can't stop a war by reading about it. It feels better than doing nothing. This is the illusion of doom scrolling. It feels productive. It feels like you're staying informed. It feels like you're being a responsible citizen. But you're not. You're just consuming. And the consuming isn't helping anyone, including you. The connection button. Third, connection. Doom scrolling creates a shared experience. When everyone is talking about the same crisis, there's something to talk about. You feel connected to the larger narrative. You feel like part of something bigger. This is why it feels so good in groups. The collective panic feels like community. The shared outrage feels like belonging. But it's a false connection. It's connection through negativity, not through positivity. It's bonding over what's wrong, not building what's right. The dopamine button. Fourth, dopamine. Bad news triggers a bigger dopamine response than good news. Your brain is more activated by threats than opportunities. It's a survival mechanism. You need to pay more attention to the tiger than the flower. So every doom scroll gives you a bigger hit than a positive scroll would. It's literally more addictive. This is why doom scrolling feels good even though it's making you feel worse. The addiction is stronger than the feeling. The fix. The fix isn't willpower. The fix is awareness. The fix is seeing what it's doing and choosing differently. Next time you feel the pull toward doom scrolling, just notice. Ask yourself, am I curious or am I avoiding? Am I staying informed or am I escaping? Am I connecting or am I numbing? Once you see it, you can choose. That's the switch. And that's what we're building. And here's something to sit with. Curiosity, control, connection, a hit of dopamine. Those 4 buttons are real, and you don't have to give them up. You'll soon see how to get every one of them from something that actually builds the life you want. Chapter 7. The hour that matters. Here's the most powerful hour of your day. Not the first hour, that's already gone to your phone. Not the last hour, that's gone to scrolling. The most powerful hour is the hour you choose to make your own. For most people, that's the hour before the day starts. The hour before the world starts demanding your attention. The hour before the algorithm takes over. This is the hour we're going to reclaim. Not by taking away your phone, but by adding something to that hour. Something that competes with the scroll. Something that builds instead of drains. The morning hour. The hour between waking and leaving your house is the most valuable real estate in your day. It's the time when your brain is most receptive, most plastic, most open to suggestion. Whatever you put in your head during that hour sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start that hour with your phone, you're starting it with someone else's agenda, someone else's priorities, someone else's drama. If you start that hour with visualization, you're starting it with your own. You're programming your brain for the day you want, not the day someone else thinks you should have. This isn't about waking up earlier. It's about using the time you have differently. Even 20 minutes is enough if you use them right. The ritual. Here's the simplest version. 20 minutes. But instead of scrolling through someone else's drama, you spend it watching your own future unfold. You can spend that 20 minutes visualizing your day going perfectly. Not fantasizing, actually visualizing. What you'll see, what you'll hear, what you'll feel. The conversations you'll have, the work you'll do, the decisions you'll make. You're not trying to predict the future. You're training your brain to recognize opportunities. You're building a pattern library of what success looks like. This is what athletes do. This is what performers do. This is what anyone who wins does. They spend time in the morning seeing themselves winning before they go out and actually win. The evening hour. The other powerful hour is the hour before bed. This is when your brain is consolidating memories, making decisions about what to keep and what to discard. What you consume during that hour becomes what your brain thinks is important. What you think about during that hour becomes the material your brain works with while you sleep. This is why the last thing before bed matters, not just for sleep quality, but for the next day's orientation. The fix is the same. No screens for the last hour. No consumption, only creation. No other people's stories, only your own. This is the hour that matters, not because of what you do during it, but because of what it sets up for everything after. That's the switch. That's the foundation. Now let's make it concrete. Chapter 8. Visualization works. Here's why. Before we get into how to do it, let's get into why it works. Because if you don't believe it works, you won't do it. And it only works if you do it. Here's the science. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a vivid imagination and a real experience. When you visualize something vividly enough, your brain fires the same neural pathways as when you're actually doing it. This isn't new age nonsense. This is neuroscience. MRI studies show that when people visualize an action, the same brain regions activate as when they perform the action physically. This is why visualization works for athletes, why it works for performers, why it works for anyone who practices their craft in their mind before practicing it in the world. The brain doesn't know. Your brain is a prediction machine. It's constantly predicting what's going to happen next and then preparing your body for that prediction. When you visualize something vividly, your brain treats it as a prediction. And here's the key. Your brain works better with patterns it recognizes. If you visualized your success 100 times, when the opportunity arises, your brain goes, "Oh, I've seen this before. This is the thing that happens. We know what to do here." That's not magic. That's pattern recognition. That's your brain doing what it's designed to do. The body responds. Here's the wild part. Your body responds to your visualizations. Studies show that people who visualize exercise actually increase their physical fitness, even without moving. The body prepares for what the brain expects. When you visualize your day going well, your body actually produces the hormones and chemicals it would produce if things were going well. You literally feel better. You walk different. You talk different. You show up different. And the world responds to how you show up. The law of expectation. This is the deepest layer. What you expect is what you get. Not because the universe is conspiring for or against you, but because your expectations shape your behavior. If you expect to fail, you won't try as hard. You won't take the risks. You'll find reasons to quit before you even begin. If you expect to succeed, you'll take more shots. You'll persist through failures. You'll see opportunities others miss. Your media consumption is building those expectations. Every doom scroll builds expectations of failure. Every visualization builds expectations of success. The question is, which one are you choosing? The practical version. Here's how to do it practically. Every morning for just 5 minutes, close your eyes and visualize your day. Not the whole day, just the key parts. The important conversation, the challenging task, the moment when it matters. See it happening the way you want it to. What you're wearing, what you're saying, what you're feeling. Make it vivid, make it real. Here's the catch, though. Holding a clear picture in your head is hard. Your mind drifts. The image fades. So hold on to this thought. What if you didn't have to imagine it at all? What if you could actually see it? The future you, living that exact moment right there on a screen. That's coming. And it changes everything. Your brain doesn't know the difference, and it won't try to argue with a clear signal. This is the foundation of the switch. This is how we take back the programming. Now let's build on it. Chapter 9. Building your new reality. Here's where it gets practical. Not just understanding the problem, fixing it. Not just seeing the switch, flipping it. Everything so far has been about awareness, seeing what's happening, noticing the choice, understanding the mechanism. Now let's build the alternative. Let's build the thing that replaces the scroll. The thing that uses the same time for a different purpose. The new routine. It starts with the hour, the morning hour, the evening hour, whichever one you can protect. The routine is simple. First, wake up and don't reach for your phone. Second, 5 minutes of visualization. See the day going your way. Third, 10 minutes of writing. Capture your thoughts, your goals, your intentions. And fourth, earn your phone. Use it. Don't let it use you. That's 20 minutes. That's all. You can find 20 minutes. You wake up 2 hours before you need to leave. The 3 questions. Every morning, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what's the one thing I want to happen today? Second, what's the one thing I don't want to happen today? And third, how am I going to make the first thing more likely? The first question is intention. The second is protection. The third is strategy. Write these down. Put them somewhere you'll see. Let them guide your day. The evening review. Every evening, ask. First, what went well? Second, what didn't go well? And third, what did I learn? This is the review. This is how you improve. This is how you turn experience into wisdom instead of just letting it pass through and disappear. 5 minutes, that's all. The environment. Here's what nobody talks about. Environment matters more than willpower. You can try to resist your phone, or you can make it easier not to use it. A few simple changes. Put your phone in another room in the morning. Delete the most addictive apps from your home screen. Make the visualization easier than the scrolling. And have a specific place for your morning routine. Your environment is doing the work when you're not. Design it to do the right work. The compound effect. Here's what's going to happen. Nothing at first. The first day, the first week, you'll feel like it's not working. But then something will click. A moment when you catch yourself reaching for your phone and choose not to. A moment when you visualize something and it actually happens. These moments will compound. The neural pathways will strengthen. The new habit will become automatic. This is how you build a new reality. One choice at a time. One day at a time. This is the switch. This is how it works. And in the next chapter, I'm going to hand you the tool that makes this whole routine easier. And honestly, a lot more fun than writing in a notebook ever was. Chapter 10. Meet the ReelVisionBoard app. Here's where we get practical. Everything so far has been about awareness, seeing the problem, understanding the mechanism. Now let's build the tool. This book comes with a companion, not because you need another app, but because you need something to compete with the scroll. Remember the core idea of this whole book. The algorithm wins by feeding you content. Content designed to keep you watching, comparing, consuming. The switch is to stop being fed and start creating your own. This app is how you do exactly that. That's the ReelVisionBoard app. See yourself living it. Most visualization happens behind closed eyes. You imagine the life you want and you try to hold the picture steady. That's hard. Your mind wanders. The image slips. The ReelVisionBoard app makes the picture real so you can actually see it. Here's how it works. You take a selfie. Just one. Then you open the Create tab and you describe the life you want to see yourself living. Standing on the stage you've always pictured. Crossing the finish line of your first marathon. Sitting on the deck of the house you're working toward. You type it in, and the app generates an image of you, actually you, living that moment. Then, with one tap, you can turn that image into a short video. A video clip of you there in the life you want. And it plays on a loop. This is visualization you can see. Not a vague picture in your head, but a vivid, moving image of the future you're building. Your own vision board. Here's where it becomes a practice. You pin those images and videos to a vision board. A full screen on your phone, filled with the life you're creating. And you can build more than one. Swipe left, swipe right, and move between them. A board for your health. A board for your work. A board for the places you want to go. You can even string them together into a reel. A series of images and videos, one after another, like a highlight reel of a life that hasn't happened yet. And this is the part that matters. That reel is content. Content you made. Content about you and the life you want. Instead of content designed to keep you scrolling and comparing. This is the switch, made literal. The same swiping, the same screen, the same few minutes, but now you're consuming a feed you built, pointed at the future you actually want. Your AI coach. The app also has an AI coach to guide the practice morning and evening. In the morning, it walks you through your visualization. It asks you 3 questions. What's the one thing that would make today a success? What's the one thing you want to avoid? And how does it feel when the first thing actually happens? You answer in your own words, and it helps you set the day before the world sets it for you. And here's where it gets powerful. Say there's something you're dreading today. A hard conversation, a presentation, a meeting you've been losing sleep over. Instead of carrying that worry around all morning, you go to the Create tab and you make the image of it going well. You, calm and in control. You, handling it. Turn it into a video, pin it to your board, and watch it for a few minutes before you walk out the door. Let yourself feel what it feels like to have already come through it. You're not just hoping the day goes well. You're rehearsing it. You're showing your brain the outcome before it ever happens. In the evening, the coach checks back in. What went well? What didn't? And what did you learn? 5 minutes. That's it. You're not just hoping the day goes well. You're rehearsing it. You're showing your brain the outcome before it ever happens. In the evening, the coach checks back in. What went well? What didn't? And what did you learn? 5 minutes. That's it. And here's the honest difference between this and everything else on your phone. There's no endless feed, no algorithm deciding what you see. This app isn't built to trap your attention and sell it to someone else, but it is built to pull you in. Not with tricks, but because you're the one creating it. And watching yourself win actually feels good. That's the whole idea. The same pull as the apps that hook you, aimed at the life you want instead of away from it. A few minutes a day, that builds. The competition. Here's why this works. The app competes with your phone on its own terms. When you reach for your phone in the morning out of pure habit, this is right there. And instead of an algorithm feeding you someone else's life, you're looking at your own. You're swiping through the future you're building, not the drama someone else is selling. That's how you change behavior, not through discipline, through design. You don't fight the habit of reaching for your phone. You give the habit somewhere better to go. That's the switch. Now let's make it a challenge. Chapter 11. The 30-Day Challenge. Here's what makes it real. Commitment. Not vague intention, not, "I'll try." A 30-day commitment to the practice. Here's the challenge. The Real Vision 30. For the next 30 days, first, no phone for the first hour after waking. Second, 5 minutes of visualization every morning. Third, 5 minutes of reflection every evening. And fourth, track it in the app. That's it. 4 things, each one simple. All of them together take 10 minutes. No extra time required, no lifestyle overhaul, no dramatic changes to your life. Just 10 minutes, twice a day. The first week, days 1 through 7. The hardest part. You're breaking a habit. Your phone will call to you. Your fingers will reach for it without thinking. You'll feel like you're missing something. That's normal. That's the addiction talking. You're not missing anything. You're just used to the hit. The fix. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on the environment. Put your phone in another room. Have the visualization app open before you get out of bed. The second week. Days 8 through 14. It starts getting easier. The new habit begins forming. You start noticing the difference. Some days will be great. Some days you'll fall back. That's normal. The key is, don't miss 2 days in a row. The third week. Days 15 through 21. This is where it clicks. The visualization becomes automatic. The morning routine becomes normal. You start looking forward to it. The fourth week. Days 22 through 30. The final push. You've built something. You've proven to yourself that you can change. That's the real win. The after. After 30 days, you'll have a choice. You can keep going, which I recommend. Or you can go back to how it was, which I don't. Most people keep going. Not because they're addicted to the practice, but because they've seen the difference. They've felt the difference. They don't want to go back. That's the challenge. That's the movement. Chapter 12. You're not alone. Here's what I want you to know. You're not alone in this. Millions of people are right where you are. They're waking up to the same problem. They're feeling the same frustration. They're ready for the same change. This isn't a solo journey. This is a movement. The shift. Something is happening. People are waking up. They're seeing the problem. They're ready for the solution. Every person who reads this book is part of that shift. Every person who takes the challenge is part of it. Every person who chooses differently is part of it. You're not fighting alone. You're part of something bigger. The community. Here's where it gets real. Find your people. Find the others who are doing this work. Not in the doom scrolls, not in the negativity, in the spaces where people are building, creating, choosing. It might be a meditation group, a morning routine community, an accountability circle, online spaces focused on growth. Find your people. They're out there. They want to connect. The ripple. Here's what happens when you change. You inspire others. You don't have to teach. You don't have to preach. You just have to be different. You have to show up differently. You have to radiate the change. And people will notice. They'll ask questions. You'll share what you're doing. They'll try it. That's the ripple. That's how movements grow. One person at a time. One choice at a time. The invitation. This is your invitation, not to a product, not to a service, to a practice, to a way of living. The invitation is open. Anyone can join. Everyone is welcome. The only requirement, you choose. You show up. You do the work. That's it. Let's do this together. Chapter 13. The future is a choice. Here's the truth. The future isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create. Every choice you make today creates a tomorrow. Every scroll creates a reality. Every visualization creates a reality. You're always creating. The question is, which one are you choosing? The two futures. There are two futures. Let's paint them both. Future 1. You keep going the way you're going. The phone wins. The algorithm wins. You're still scrolling in 5 years, 10 years, still wondering why nothing changes, still feeling like something is missing, still waking up to notifications. Future 2. You choose differently. The morning hour becomes yours. The visualization becomes the foundation. You become the person who shows up differently. Things change. Not dramatically, but measurably. One day at a time. Both futures are possible. You're creating one of them right now. The choice point. Here's the thing about choices. They feel small at the time. Reaching for your phone versus reaching for visualization. It doesn't feel like a life or death decision. But those small choices compound. One day, one choice. 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. The compound is massive. The question isn't, should I change my life? The question is, which choice am I making right now? The only thing that matters. If you remember one thing from this book, remember this. Your phone is a tool. You're the one holding it. You're the one choosing what to do with it. The algorithm is powerful, but you're more powerful. You can see it now. You know what it's doing. You can choose differently. That's the switch. That's all it ever was. The beginning. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. The beginning of a practice. The beginning of a habit. The beginning of a new way of living. Everything that matters happens in the morning. Everything that matters happens in the hour you choose. This is the choice. This is the switch. Now go flip it. Appendix. Resources. The app. You can download the ReelVisionBoard app at ReelVisionBoard.app. It's the companion app for this book. It guides your morning visualization and your evening reflection. The morning routine. First, wake up and don't reach for your phone. Second, take 5 minutes to visualize your day. Third, take 10 minutes to write your intentions. And fourth, earn your phone. The evening routine. For the last hour before bed, no screens. Take 5 minutes to review the day and ask yourself 3 questions. What went well? What didn't? And what did I learn? Key stats to remember: 7 hours a day. That's the average screen time. 86 days a year spent on screens. 96% of people check their phone within 4 minutes of waking, and 50% check during meals. The 30-day challenge. Days 1 through 7, you build the habit. Days 8 through 14, you strengthen the habit. Days 15 through 21, you make it automatic. And days 22 through 30, you prove to yourself that it works. Quotes to remember: your phone is a tool. You're the one holding it. Every scroll is a choice. The future isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create. Choose, don't scroll. Connect with others and share your journey. This is just the beginning. Let's keep going.